Hi, this is Dana, and on this channel I speak about spiritual warfare. I have another channel on which I speak about astrology. My Facebook page you can find on in the description box below, and all other accounts or channels or whatever social media accounts exist are not created by me, but by some creatures who want to be like me, or actually they want to be me. So, you guys, in this video, God has guided me um, for some hours now to come back to the previous topic, particularly the one related to ancestors, and to clarify a little bit more because it seems there's some confusion, or at least some individuals would like to create confusion regarding what I said, namely that not all ancestors are beneficial to you, right? And to me, it seems self explanatory because throughout my spiritual fighting, I have encountered individuals who were supposed to be family, either soul family or blood family, or both, some of them actually. And they created contracts on me in multiple lifetimes, okay? So, to me it's obvious, it's self-explanatory why some ancestors might not be beneficial to you. But then again, let's try to discuss a little bit, since God has been so insistent on me talking about it. Now, everybody knows that there is a war ongoing between dark and light. There are many different races involved in this war. And as I have been describing throughout my videos, these individuals who insist on preserving the 3D are making systematically new alliances and have made new alliances throughout time. So they involved even more races from outer cosmos. You also have, of course, all of these individuals who are involved in all of this enslavement industry, in all of these convents, masonry, secret societies, and so on, organizations, right? Now, if you have somebody from your family who is involved in that, you might not even know. Let's begin here, actually, to make sure that everybody knows that. Because it's a secret society. As I already said a few times, I learned in 2018 when God revealed to me during judgment about my ex-husband whom I divorced in 2004, that he was throughout my entire relationship, and then later on throughout the entire marriage, he was member in one of these organizations, convents, okay, a men's club, a men's convent. So you will not know. If they suspect that you wouldn't agree with this, they will not tell you, and they will make contracts on you. And there's a wide variety of contracts that can be done on you, namely, it could be, for example, a general contract in which he signs off the entire family. So he gives rights to the convent or to a specific leader, to his entire family, wife, children, whatever rights they have, gifts, so on and so forth, for energy harvesting and so on and so forth. Or they can make specific contracts on you individually, and that can involve sacrifice, ritual and sacrifice contract. It can involve any type of contract on one specific gift, on every gift, on your rights, selling your rights. Basically, in my case, God has shown me that this individual with whom I was married literally sold them my rights. Like, she has the right to be in this ranking and this position, I sell this to this leader. Why? Because he decided in his crazy mind that I don't need to be to take in possession my rights, and I don't need to be in any kind of career position or any kind of. So they do this out of jealousy, out of envy, out of some of them. In this case, God has shown me precisely. Actually, this individual, since we are teenagers, he was recruited. So actually, when he approached me and wanted to be together, he was already recruited and he came because he was sent to me. So everything was a lie. The entire thing was a lie. Okay, during our relationship, but also during our marriage later on. And as I grew up and I evolved, and of course I started working and studying and so on, he only took advantage of all of networking and environment and where I was present in order to make more contracts on me, essentially. So, for example, I'll give you an example. I didn't have a child with this individual. But if I would have had children with this individual, then when he would die, he would be an ancestor to my children. Now, knowing that this individual made all these contracts on me, and most clearly he would have made contracts on my child as well, if I would have had one. Do you think my child would be in the benefit of my child to listen to guidance received from this individual, whom supposedly would have been his father, therefore an ancestor, once he passed by? No. Do you think this individual is gonna uplift and go to God? No, I think he's literally gonna stay with these crazy lunatics with their convents, and they will stay pretty much trapped into 3D, including after they die, in necromancy and other practices. Okay, actually, to be more precise, I remember in 2000, we were living in Washington D.C. In United States, and I was very determined that I would have a child in 2000. It was very childish, but I was very determined that my child will be born in 2000. So I was very determined that we leave United States, go back home, and we start trying for making a child. And this individual actually told me at the time that he doesn't want to go back home. He wants to stay in the United States, although that was a temporary job where I was sent, and he was just accompanying me, right? And that if I want a child, I should make the child there, and I should, because I was working more than 16, 18 hours a day, he said, it's fine. We will find a solution here. We don't have to go home to have a child. You can make the child, and then we give the child to be raised by the nanny of our boss at the time in Washington, D.C. But that was extremely peculiar to me, and I told him, I'm not going to make a child and give my child for somebody else to raise him, and my child will not be raised among strangers, people who don't care for him. My child will stay with me, and I will fucking go home and have a child. I'm not going to stay here to have a child, because here I don't have the conditions. Here we are sent by my institution on a temporary assignment, and we knew this when we came here, that there will involve a lot of work, so I will not have time for this, and I am not paid to stay here to have a child. So basically what I want to say is that this individual had anyway contracts made on me to that boss that he was referring to, and he was intending to actually give my child to them to be raised by them. He actually said this to me. He said, I consulted with our boss and with his wife, and we all think you should make the child here, and you should give the child so it will be raised by their nanny, because they also had 2 children. They said, no, I'm not going to do this. If we are not capable of giving a loving environment to our child, let's not have a child. I'm not going to make a child for you to send my child away, and I won't be able to even see my child. This is crazy, especially when he's just newborn. How would you send the child to be among people who actually don't care for him? And they're all busy in that household. And I want to see my child. I want to be with my child. What do you mean? To send my child away to a nanny? And when would I meet my child? During weekends or what? So I decided at that time, although I didn't know any of this about spiritual fighting and contracts and so on, at the time I decided that is very peculiar, very peculiar. And I was so determined to have a child at the time. I bought books, I learned, I studied so much, so I would be a very good mother, you know. But when he actually said all of this to me, I said, you know, I think there's something deeply wrong in what you just said now, and what this position that you support, and including the fact that you have been consulting some strangers. These people are this is just our boss. You went to our boss to consult with him. When should he have a child? Why don't you consult with me? What the fuck is this? And then you want my child, you want to send my child to their household to be raised by a nanny who's actually taking care of their own children as well. Therefore, she will not ever have time for my child. What the fuck you mean? What the attitude is this? And actually, I told him, I said, this is not a responsible parent attitude. And as long as you think like this, I will never have a child with you. Because you don't love my child if you want to do this. And I will never bring a child into this world that doesn't feel loved. If you're not capable of giving love, tell me. Because I'm not going to bring a soul here to feel lonely and not loved. Anyhow, but this is what I mean. You see, so if I would have had a child, he would have clearly made a contract. Now, after I started learning about all of this, many things made more sense for me. Many things made more sense, including this one with the child, which was something I could never understand. Why would you actually expect me to just give birth, stay a few days at home, and then send my child to be raised in a different household? For me not to be ever able to see my child during weekdays, because I would finish too late when the child would be sleeping and you cannot go to see him. And so it was very, very, very peculiar to me at the time. It was really disturbing. And the point is, though, but if I would have made a child, he clearly would have made contracts. Now I understand better this. And this is one example of how a ancestor can be, some ancestors actually can be your enemies, depending on what you chose to do with your life. If you chose to be in light with God and Jesus, these kind of ancestors who have done contracts on you and who have been involved in creating and maintaining the matrix, those are your enemies. And you must understand that, you know, some of these people believe in this stuff. Some of them have been brainwashed. Some of them have been programmed. Some of them have been drugged. We're not discussing here where they are. But what we are discussing is the fact that most clearly these kind of individuals will become ancestors for somebody. Yeah? Will become guides. Unfortunately, they will not be communicating to you from divine realm. And this is important to understand, because I said in the previous video, if you don't ascend, what happens is that you don't free your spirit, you don't integrate with the soul. And if physical death happens, then your spirit, as I said before, will go through the burial process, which we are all accustomed to, which actually, in fact, it's a copy of the Egyptian mummification process, whereby the body is preserved and the spirit is being used in necromancy. The spirit is being used by necromancy. In necromancy, by all of these people, I explained in another video, this is the most important source of power of these people creating the matrix. And some of these ancestors who have been involved in this, in creating the matrix and maintaining the matrix, will speak for you through necromancy. Will be used by this matrix. Those spirits will be used to approach you through necromancy, because you can imagine, if it's something, a very dear relative which died, that's the perfect string these individuals can find to reach you. Yeah, they can reach you the best this way, because it's somebody you care about and you remember them very dearly, and they can use that during dream time, they can use it during day, they can use it at any time, because they can cloak themselves in dark or in light, depending on whatever they work with, and they can reach you on subconscious level. Your subconscious will be open to these kind of individuals, because they are your family, and most probably you cared for them. But then again, I say it clearly, these kind of ancestors will not approach you from divine realm, and they will give you guidance, but they will lead you astray. And I experienced this myself from my own lineage. For example, I spoke the other night in another video about how some ancestors you need to cut off, and I gave the example of that woman who contacted me, and she was embodying the mother figure for me. And I cut her off. I cut her off throughout the spiritual fighting. I have learned horrifying things that she has done to me, including contracts on me, signed off to different individuals, to convents, and so on. And I have learned how in some lifetimes this has had absolutely dramatic impact on my embodiment, but also on broader communities, let's say, on broader communities. So other people were affected as well by these decisions she made. So clearly she was not talking to me from the divine realm or anything, or from light. You know, this is why she was actually, even after all of this, I mean, you can imagine, and I studied the situation from different perspectives, and they said you might have been tricked initially, although I don't believe so, because the bondage breaking showed differently, that she was the leading figure who took initiative in all of this, and she used actually my rights. She sold my rights to establish a very luxurious lifestyle for herself. But even if you would have been tricked, let's put it this way, that happened in one lifetime, but therefore there are many lifetimes since then, and even nowadays when you contact me, you bluntly say, I'm not doing spiritual fighting, I'm not fighting. Well, who the fuck you think you are, you hoe? You don't fight. Why I need to keep doing your fights for the shit that you have done in your lifetime? And even in this lifetime, you don't start fighting. What the fuck is this? How is this normal? And why would I even consider you in any way or shape or form connected to me, or let alone relative, you know? So how would you imagine that this kind of individual would give you spiritual guidance in staying in light or getting to God? But she cannot get into God on her own. What kind of advice would she give me? But then she expects others to liberate her. These people are trapped in 3D and in this network of necromancy and all of these practices These are the people who plan for multiple incarnations because they don't want to go home to God. They don't want us chant. They don't want 3D to disappear, simply because they don't want to put up the fight. So these are examples of ancestors who can lead you astray, and they're very dangerous. They're very dangerous because unless you learn ahead of time, don't you imagine that I knew from the beginning what happened? I didn't know, because if I would have known, I wouldn't even answer to her. But I learned very late, and after repetitive similar situations related to multiple people who actually were supposed to be loyal to me, and to whom I was loyal. But not everybody is the same, and you must understand that if we are in these situations, you clearly have somebody who signed contracts on you. It's just a matter of discovering who and what kind of contracts and for what purpose. I mean, this is why we're here. If you had no bondage and no contracts on you, you would be up there with God. You wouldn't have incarnated. I hope this is clear to everyone. Now, of course, there are different races and lineages, and their positions might differ. There are situations in which an entire race, but not one, many, but entire races are already fallen. So they're not in they didn't elevate enough to get to the divine realm. Some of them have created so much karma for themselves by creating the 3D, by creating the convents, by creating these contracts on other people, innocent people, by enslaving other people, and all of this harm doing, that they lost all their rights. They curse themselves, because in Astra rules, there are limits what you are allowed to do. You are not allowed on specific identities, and individuals are not allowed to do specific type of attacks and so on, or lies or slander, and you curse yourself and your lineage if you do this. There are rules in astrals which must be observed, but they don't care for this. And they created so much karma for themselves that some of them, the entire lineage became cursed. The entire lineage basically was cut off by the divine realm due to karma. And basically they just are devoted to preserving the 3D. So in this case, if you have ancestors from those races, some races, God has shown to me, for example, so you'll understand even more, God has shown to me that some races do not have the right of reproduction. So they cannot procreate. They cannot have, how you say this, successors. They cannot have successors. And therefore they plead for interracial marriages and couples in order to have somebody to have children, so they can actually, but they don't have the right to have children because of the harm they've done on children, because of homicide, because of genocide, because of all of the tortures they have done on children, killing children in sacrifice rituals, feeding from doing blood ritual with blood from children, raping them, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so they don't have rights actually to have children. So they want to steal your rights to have a child and to have a cross breed child, so they can ensure the succession of their lineage, but if possible also the domination of your lineage. Because those individuals, you must be very clear, they will pull you down with them. There's no way for you, if you do a cross-race marriage, for example, or child, you cannot expect those individuals to help uplift you. They will transfer all the karma to you. They will steal all the rights, they will get the child, and you will have to pay their karma. Even if you're innocent, doesn't matter, because you allow them to do this to you. So if you have done this, for example, or anybody in your lineage has done this, interracial, as I said, I myself come from an interracial union. So it's not like I'm pointing finger at others, but I'm paying very dearly this mistake of somebody who decided to do interracial union. Okay? I am paying very dearly through all the spiritual fighting that I went through. And it's a lot of torture. It's been a lot of torture and a lot of unfair experiences. So if you are in this situation, you don't imagine that from the other lineage, anyone who reaches out to you from the other lineage would be beneficial to you. I can expect, and God is showing to me, to don't scare people off. I'm not scaring anybody off. There will be a time, and we are talking about our level of understanding at this point in evolution. There will be a time when enough darkness will be uplifted and transmuted, and people will evolve enough when you might be able to communicate with them without being in danger. But for now, it's too much darkness. The darkness has too much power. This is not a safe time to talk to them. Exactly like God said to me about that woman. You are not in safety, not safe enough so you can actually allow, because God has explained to me afterwards, because she is trapped in 4D, if you started talking to her at that point in time, there are portals of darkness which open towards you, because this is where she is. Yeah. So since she willingly is not fighting, she is possessed and she is claimed by darkness, and she knew this. Actually, it was no surprise to her, when I said this. And it's the same every time when an ancestor from that lineage will approach you, portals of darkness will open to you. So at this point in time, I do not believe that we evolved enough, regardless of how much spiritual fighting we have done. I don't believe that we evolved enough in order to be able to actually have a dialogue with those people who are from a race which is karmic. Yeah. There will be a point, I imagine, where there will be enough balance and enough support so we actually can withstand a dialogue from one side to another, but not now for sure. Not now, because not enough darkness has been transmuted. So at this point in time, I believe that it is not beneficial to contact or to accept to be contacted by anyone who doesn't do spiritual fighting, simply because they are claimed by darkness, and that darkness is will harm you, like it or not. So this is what I meant to say. There are still circumstances in which ancestors or even relatives which belong to one of these races, again, nobody's pointing a finger at them. They have the opportunity to work for their ascension with God, and they will do bondage breaking, healing, and they will heal their DNA, and they will come back into the original blueprint which God created upon them. But you see, like that woman, she contacted me disregarding how much darkness she brings into my life. She didn't care. She knew where she is. She knew she's not fighting. She knew she's connected and claimed by these dark forces. She didn't care. How the fuck are you a mother when you contact a child and you know you bring darkness with you to that child? How the fuck you don't go and first clean yourself up before you contact me? How you don't care? Why? Why would you do this? So is the same will be for your ancestors or relatives which belong to one of these races, which are in very high karmic debt because of things they have done or because of things that other people have done in their lineage. Like I am paying, I'm fighting to clear the karma for my lineage. Maybe there's some innocent people in that lineage as well, but they gotta clean the karma regardless because they are carrying the darkness. That's so I believe that this is what I referred to when I said you must cut them off. You really must cut them off. And you cannot be answering if they contact you because they're too dangerous. And I would say this, if God gives you a different guidance, then you go ahead and talk to them. But personally, I don't believe so because I constantly, systematically check up with God and I ask what is the situation over a long globe. And it's a very bad situation. We will see when it will improve and how many individuals will start fighting so we can actually move forward faster. And if those individuals from this karmic debt or from ancestors which passed away in karmic debt truly want to communicate with you, they should just fucking start fighting and clear the karma, break the bondage, and do the redemption so they can clean themselves up. So when they come to you, will not bring darkness and will not be a liability for you, but it will be a blessing. Okay, I'm gonna stop here because it's 30 minutes. I think this is what God wanted me to talk about. There are many circumstances in which ancestors cannot be beneficial. I believe now in the Lion's Gate is the perfect time when you can have a very beneficial communication with the divine realm, so you will be guided. And please include this topic too. If it's that much controversy over it, I didn't imagine it would stir so much controversy, but if it's so, communicate with the divine realm and check up who exactly is beneficial to you, so you will communicate with them from your ancestors, from your lineage, from your relatives, from your friends, from whatever. Okay, I hope this helps, and I hope this is clear enough. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask. You will find the information about my PayPal and about my Facebook page in the description box below. I will also write or I will make a video, maybe I will see how to do this. God has guided me to talk about, I'm working on a number of spiritual items which I wanted for a long time to develop. I was hoping by now that I would be in my new location and I would be working, but since it's been delayed so long, I decided that I would use the energy of the Lion's Gate to start on that business as well, which basically means that I will create specific spiritual items, items with spiritual value, and that of course will include specific candles together with a specific prayer, which will address a specific type of spiritual fighting or specific type of energy healing, or so on. And the item basically will be created for that specific purpose, with prayer and so on. And we will see what else I can actually create right here. As I said, I will create a lot of items related to food industry and drinks, but I don't believe I will do it here. I would prefer to do it in the new location because it involves a lot of organization and a lot of investment, so you can actually have a dedicated space and so on. But I will start creating some jewelries, also related to protection and healing, and some candles and stuff like this. And what God has guided me to do is basically to create sigils with specific type of prayers for, again, specific type of spiritual fighting. Basically, God has guided me to create spiritual items for each and every topic which I have been developing in my prophetic writings and in my spiritual fighting guidance on YouTube. So I will go back to each topic to see and to create this, and we will see how I will present it to you. Either that I write in the description box or on the community board when that opens, or I will make a video, one of these options. But I will let you know as soon as I have that ready, okay? Okay, so I'll see you in the next video. Bye.